If we could have someone in the back shut that door for us, thank you so much. Good morning, and we'll call to order the meeting of the Regional Transportation Commission. Mr. O'Haney.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. This is Tina Quigley 2.0. Tina can't make it today, so I'm filling for her. She's attending a conference in Washington, D.C. Your first item is to conduct your first citizens participation period.
This is the first time set aside for public comment. Those wishing to speak to the board on a posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. On item number 31, Miranda, paren director, N paren Ronsolis. Oh, everybody's coming down, okay. I was gonna say, that would be tough to put on a driver's license.
Yeah, it would be.
Good morning, and you'd wish to speak on item number 31?
Yes.
Great.
Good morning. My name is Ron Solis. I'm the operations manager for Acres Transportation. Acres Transportation started in 2013, and its primary purpose is to provide alternative transportation with people with disability, and to go to work and live a normal life. Through the years, our success with Acres is through our partners with RTC, the Commission, and people like you who supported us. And the reason why we're here is we just want to thank you for your support and our partnership with RO and the RTC Commission.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the continued growth and relationship.
And would you introduce yourself
Oh,
also?
Miranda, area director with Acres. We're looking forward to continued growth and relationship with RO, so we just wanted to extend a thank you and appreciation for that.
You came down. Protocol, you have to introduce yourself.
I'm the Safety and Security Manager for Acres Transportation, and I'm just here for support with RO bus sales that we have such a good rapport with, and I'm happy that that's continuing.
And your name for the record?
Connor Hurst.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tina would probably let that slide, but Mr. O'Haney, he's by the book. He needs everybody introduced.
I know it's on consent, but just part of that contract is a maintenance component. Is that for parts and things that they find that are broken or whatever when they're actually maintaining or cleaning and doing the buses?
Correct. They would have to report if they find anything broken to the maintenance.
Okay, so
crew
you
to fix.
track what those dollars then are used for, because it's segregated as 150,000,
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on a posted agenda item? Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. I'm Bobby Bracken with RO Bus Sales here in Las Vegas.
Joe Machine from RO Bus Sales, also Las Vegas.
We are here to speak on the same agenda item where we are the company that actually maintains and repairs the buses that Acres and a couple of other of the participants operate. And we've been doing business with the RTC, heck, for going on just over 6 years now. We've addressed this commission before, and thank you for the opportunities, but we realized on this one, this was a little bit different. We've won a lot of contracts, lost some contracts, and there's been some contracts we've been awarded that may have been larger than this one, but I can honestly say there's never been one that our company as a whole has been more invested in ever. 3 years ago when we were awarded the first part of this contract, we knew it was something new. Something new the RTC was trying to do. We knew that all the rules and the way it was going to go wasn't always going to be the same, that we were going to have to work through it, learn things, which we have. Over the past 3 years, us as a company, I've talked up here and said we've grown a lot as a company, yet this time I truly say that 3 years ago you threw 7 companies together, a lot of different companies that did different type of business, nonprofits, for-profits, although we had serviced buses and equipment in the past, we'd have done it on a retail side, not necessarily on the transit style. And I can say that over the last 3 years, with, the efforts of, like I say, our partners, the participants, Tina, MJ, their staff, the RTC, Dan Halland, Antoinette Braddock, Steve Gebhard, there's not a day that goes by that at some level our staff isn't involved in some way with RTC staff and as well as the participant staff. And truly working in partnership rather than just a governing body. The RTC, it's a true testament to their commitments, putting, small businesses together, putting programs together, sticking with those programs and working it through with us. So, we're very, how would I say, from a humble spot and a very, proud spot. We're very excited, like I said, to move on with this program. It is personal to us. I think Ron hit it on the head when we were speaking in the hall that when he comes into our facility now, there's not anyone in the facility that doesn't know his name. So for them to come down and speak on our behalf, that means a great deal. We've gone from selling buses to actually maintaining and servicing the buses that our community rides on, and we take that very seriously. I mean, heck, I was gonna say, I think it's personal enough that heck, Joe's mom uses the service. She's like our own private TAC committee. 'Cause Joe will come in and say, hey, my mom, she rode the bus, she went to the store the other day, and she said if we would just do this, her rider experience would be greatly elevated. And I'm like, huh? So anyway, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. And for some of the board members that don't recall, this company, and I'll embellish a little bit, I think they were working out of a garage, approached the RTC and basically asked for a chance. It's a small business to get engaged. And the success of these two gentlemen, and now certainly their company, I think it was 2 years ago they were recognized as the Nevada Small Business and flown back to DC and brought great credit to not only themselves and their company, but certainly the relationship with the RTC. And it's just a wonderful example how this agency could have just said, you're not ready, you're inexperienced, but they gave them a chance. And they've demonstrated year after year that they provide a great service to us and to the community. So congratulations to everybody involved. Back at you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board on a posted agenda item? Seeing and hearing no one, will close this portion of public comment.
Mr. Chairman, the second item is to approve the agenda. The agenda is in order for your approval.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is to receive the general manager's report. We have a few items to report today. The first one is an operator recognition from MV Transportation, and it's Mr. Frank Pesic. Is Mr. Frank Pesic here? Come on down, come on down. Mr. Frank Pesic joined MV in February 2014 and follows in the footsteps of his father, who is also another shining star at MV. He continually raises the bar for himself and others with his constant professionalism and has become a role model for many of his colleagues. Mr. Pesic says that working with the great people at MV and assisting customers who rely on public transportation are what he enjoys most about his career.
Thank you.
Please join me in recognizing Mr. Frank Pesic.
Frank, a few words?
No, I wasn't even planning on this, but I want to say thank you to MV for putting me up for an award for RTC, and I'm happy to be working with you guys for future years to come by. Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Right.
Okay, we have another recognition, this time from Keolis, and it's Miss Hadia Ali. Is Miss Ali here? Miss Ali has been an operator and ambassador for more than 11 years and received numerous compliments for her customer service. The Las Vegas Metro Chamber named Miss Ali Ambassador Driver of the Year twice for her helpfulness and knowledge of the resort corridor. The CFO and Vice President of Customer Experience at LVCVA recently interacted with Miss Ali and said that she truly represents the Las Vegas brand in her humor, delivery, and enthusiasm. Speech.
I just want to say that it's an honor and a privilege to be in front of Mayor Carolyn Goodman and the rest of her staff, all the commissioners here today. We want to welcome the latest and the greatest, Mr. Francis Julian, our new GM. We're excited for him, and it's good to see. I'm thankful for Mr. Bill Guest. Good to see Mr. Cesar Fielder in our presence today, and I want to say thank you to everyone. God bless everyone.
Yes, you also enjoy.
Okay, wait, Dan, you baby seated. This is like church.
2.0. 2.0. They're running late.
Yes. All righty. Moving on. We have something else to report. This time on a subject that we've discussed several times at the RTC. That is our Right RTC app. The public has demanded this for a while. They've been patient allowing us to develop this app. Last month, we officially launched this app with a Rider Appreciation Party sponsored by AT&T at the BTC. KLUC 98.5 provided the entertainment. I'm pleased to report that since the launch of the app, we've had over 13,500 downloads and sold approximately 7,800 passes, far exceeding our expectations. Thanks to RTC IT team for making this happen, and also to the public for demanding this technology as part of our toolkit. And next, we move on to another issue that deals with technology. This is our partnership with Audi, the car manufacturer called Audi. This week, the RTC hosted a team of Audi at our FAST facility, where Audi launched its traffic light information technology. This is the first of its kind of vehicle-to-infrastructure technology in the United States that connects Audi vehicles to a traffic signal network. The technology will also provide anonymous real-time data to the RTC's Traffic Management Center that will help enhance traffic signal coordination and timing on the valley's roadways. Audi chose to launch this technology right here in Southern Nevada because of RTC's unique role operating all our traffic signals in the valley at one location. I believe we have a short clip that we want to show you.
Audi has been leading in mobile connectivity since 2010 with the launch of Audi Connect. And in typical Audi tradition, we're first to bring a pioneering technology called traffic light information. City traffic lights today are often controlled by a central traffic control system. Starting in fall 2016, Audi is partnering with providers to receive this data in select cities. When an equipped Audi comes into a monitored traffic light zone, it requests the light phase information from Audi data servers. The system will then display the time remaining until the light turns green. A better informed driver means a less stressed driver. Traffic light information is the first step to an incredibly connected smart city. Eventually, city grids will not just send, but can receive data from road traffic, getting real-time updates when and where surges are taking place to adjust traffic light times. Imagine no more sitting at a red light when no cross-traffic exists in the green lanes. The city could then understand where bottlenecks have formed in real time and adjust the traffic signals to optimize traffic flow. And this is just the beginning. Audi is pioneering a future where cars aren't just sensing their surroundings, but communicating with the city and the other cars on the road. The first steps are here with traffic light information, available only from Audi as part of Audi Connect Prime.
We are proud to be the first in the nation to connect our traffic signal network to vehicles through our collaboration with Audi. I'd also like to, go ahead.
Mayor Goodman, please.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Just when you meet with them for at least 4 or 5 years, we've been talking forever about making an awareness through our vehicles when we have the radio on, a lot of noise, that there are emergency vehicles coming from outside, different directions where they are. If that can be a prime focus in addition to what they're doing, it is so critical. I know we're finally getting to the stage where emergency vehicles can control the traffic lights, but for the driver, it's so important. That should override almost like our alerts that we get.
Well, sure, I think you're very innovative in your approach because the next generation of this thing is going to be addressing stuff like that. They haven't made an official announcement yet, but there are 2 options or additions that with this tool that would be coming maybe in the next year or so, one of which would deal with what you just talked about.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, were you going to say? I just wanted to give some kudos to RTC because as I understand, they really had in mind 2 other cities, but RTC was so far ahead, they were able to quickly integrate it into what we're doing because we're so advanced. I think sometimes we just don't realize the great job RTC has done, which put us ahead of New York or any place else for this, getting this awarded to be the first one.
Correct. And you raise a good point. One of the reasons why they made that decision was the fact that we have a centralized traffic management center which has all the jurisdiction coordinating from one specific location.
Councilwoman.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is wonderful news, and I think that this is a real example of how technology is going to change our lives in the future in ways that we haven't even imagined yet. And I think that this is the future of how we're going to be looking at signage and notifying people of things that are going on along our roadways, and whether it's a safety issue or many other things. And so it's exciting to me to be a part of the process to see this unfold. Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner.
Thank you. I think the mayor brings up, as I was on my way, we also have to do education of our constituents, again, to get out of the way of our emergency vehicles. I watch people pulling literally in front of them instead of getting over to the right. So maybe there's an educational component that comes in. But I believe the other thing is you'll be looking at pedestrian conflicts potentially as that Audi will be able to recognize as well, or at least that's something in the next term.
Correct. I mean, that's very preliminary at this point. We don't know if they will be developing or they will be using a third party.
Right. Right now, it's kind of the congestion part, how to flow
Correct.
and all that part of it goes. But I think along with the emergency is looking at conflicts or where pedestrian crosses and those types of things would be very important. Does this get coordinated through the FAST
Correct.
system then?
Basically,
Okay.
what it does is it uses cellular 4G LTE communications between the vehicle and our traffic signal controllers. What we have right now in our controllers is what we refer to as the connected vehicle module that allows this thing to happen. And I also want to make sure that I give kudos to the staff at FAST and a couple of our vendors, Traffic Technology Services, TTS, and Trafficware, who made this thing, help make this thing happen.
Now, Audi isn't pursuing one of the driverless vehicles, correct? Or are they? Okay, so that's going to be very important because we're a test case for 1 or 2 of the companies, I believe, at least in Nevada, to see how they handle Tahoe, the snow and ice and that part of it. I think I've mentioned I rode in the Google one 7 years ago now. But it's another area that we have to be aware of as we look at our traffic, our signage, and all those pieces as far as the technology to make sure that if we move down that road, how those vehicles recognize it. I was amazed. They even recognized school zones that we were going. We got on the spaghetti bowl in a driverless vehicle. It was a little frightening to kind of deal with, but hey, it worked out. And that was 7 years ago. So I'm thinking the technology now is even more advanced.
Correct.
So that's good to know that they'll be looking at incorporating that because I think we're kind of one of the leaders on the test case of that part of it too.
And don't be surprised if you hear from other car manufacturers in future. We just recently received an agreement from Here.com, which represents Mercedes-Benz and BMW. Our attorney reviewed the agreement, and so we're working with them. So I'm surprised something similar comes up from other car manufacturers in the future. All righty. Next, I'd like to hand this over to Deputy General Manager MJ Maynard to provide updates on fixed route and paratransit items.
Great, thanks, Fred. So during our fixed route driver focus group in October, a concerned driver wanted to know where riders who use mobility devices could access yellow safety securement straps, and if the RTC could do public outreach to promote it's called SAFE, or Securement Assistance for Everyone. It's a program. Based on this driver suggestion, the RTC is now hosting monthly SAFE events at the Bonneville Transit Center. So it was really a great suggestion from this driver. Our mobility training specialists are there to provide free strap securement for anyone who wishes to install them on their mobility devices. So it was great to hear that from a great suggestion from the driver. Another concerned driver mentioned that the Rock Springs stop on Route 210 Lake Mead is in the right turn lane and suggested that it be moved back before the cutout or to allow exempt buses to travel through the right lane. So staff work with the City of Las Vegas to install a buses exempt sign that now allows for a safer flow of traffic, and that was just installed earlier this week. So we love working with the City of Las Vegas staff. As always, we appreciate the expert suggestions from the drivers. They really help maintain the safety standards for our customers. And we also met with the paratransit drivers, and that was in November. And we updated the drivers that we are still in the process of procuring new mobile data terminals, and that is to include a mobile tablet. And so we should have a solution identified in the very near future. We've included the drivers in the testing portion of the equipment to ensure the new MDT is an effective operational tool for the operators. You know, we can test it, but we really need their sign-off. Drivers also reported concerns about air conditioning and the placement of floor securements on our new vehicles. So Steve Gephardt, our fleet manager, suggested that we have a sort of a tailgate party in December, sometime this month, with the drivers, so that we'll meet with this focus group and right on the bus, and they can talk to us about what they like or don't like with the new vehicles. So again, the Transitive drivers are awesome. They're committed to our safety standards as well. And then next slide, as part of our ongoing reporting of our transit system, we'd like to provide you with a year-over-year look at our ridership, on-time performance, maintenance, and customer service. So as you can see in this slide, ridership decreased from March to August by 1.2 million boardings compared to the same time period in 2015. However, the decrease took place on our strip routes, whereas ridership on our residential routes, as you can see here, we saw about a 92,000 increase in the boardings for the same time period. So we attribute the overall decrease in the resort corridor to the Transportation Network Companies, or TNCs. As a point of clarification, the TNCs began operating the resort corridor in October of 2015, and we saw an impact the following month. So it's just part of the new mobility options for our tourists. Next slide. A year-over-year comparison shows that both Keolis and MV decreased slightly in terms of maintaining its 5 and 10 minute on-time performance, or OTP standard. Much of this decrease can be attributed to substantial construction impacts, though RTC communicates on a daily basis with both contractors. If we hear of an on-time performance issue, staff's in constant communication. And there are small decreases considering the amount of construction that's out there. Both contractors have done a really remarkable job in maintaining the on-time performance. And looking at our customer service snapshot, the overall number of comments has decreased, and as well as our weekly boardings. So as a result, the ratio of comms to boardings has actually improved. And finally, the number of maintenance road calls has decreased, yet the number of revenue miles traveled has increased. So miles between road calls is a benchmark used in the industry to identify the effectiveness of a vehicle maintenance program. So based on this data, both contractors are doing a very good job in maintaining the vehicles. So we really want to thank the employees of MV, Keolis, and Transitive. They do a great job. They're committed to our customers, in ensuring safety and service. So.
Thank you,
Yes.
and let's echo those comments to MV and Keolis. They're doing a great job for us. the most striking statistic, and I think some of the board members looked at it, is the strip ridership. And I think the last time we tracked it, it likewise showed a decrease. So in that, the strip is, I think at one point it was generating 150% or,
In fiscal 16, it was 163%. We're working on the numbers right now. We're still very profitable routes.
and the point being that that route has enabled us to expand and increase the frequencies in our residential route,
Correct.
which this,
It's a
always a
big d-
debate as
yes.
far as the mission of the RTC, is it to serve the strip or is it to serve the community?
Correct.
So not next month or next year, but we as an agency need to start addressing if this is the direction of our traditional transit. Not so much the strip will always handle the strip and downtown will always handle downtown, but the impact on our residential service is something that this board has to address from a funding standpoint, from a priority standpoint. And even if this trend continues, we're looking 5, 10 years down the road. But it's something that we need to, perhaps at the retreat or coming up, we need to take a real hard look at the potential impact of that.
You are absolutely correct.
Thank you. Excellent point. I was making a note to myself. So it's the one that generates the ability for us to do more. So when are our contracts up with NV and Keolis? Because they had to base some of their stuff on ridership. So that history trend's going to help, I think, with negotiations next time. But we have to remember that certain threads came in that no one had anticipated
Correct.
in the previous contracts. So is it 2 more years then on
So
theirs?
MV, their base year expires July, this coming July of 2017,
Oh,
Keel's the following year. The commissioners, all of you approved both the base and the option years going forward. So that would be uninterrupted unless something changed. We're currently in discussion with both contractors about a possible rate increase. So we'll be bringing that back to you probably in February.
Okay, and then I think we also need to be aware that policy-wise, we have to be careful not to add more impediments to the strip so the ridership is not frustrated. And with no disrespect to companies that want to try to do like Big Bus or whatever, I think that that's another reason not to move forward on something along those lines because it creates another congestion and it affects the ridership opportunities for folks. And I don't want to do what we can to drive, I don't want to drive people away as far as that's concerned. As we look at how are our nonprofits, do they coordinate with them or they just coordinate through you, the ones that pick up folks in the other, what do we call that, our old service delivery system that we had where they're serving Jewish Federation and some of the
So we
Yeah.
work directly. We've got RTC staff. Antoinette Braddock does a great job overseeing the supplemental provider portion. So we have
Supplemental provider.
So we've got great partnerships with the nonprofit providers here in Southern Nevada as well as some of the for-profit.
And is there
providers.
any legislation that we should be monitoring, or maybe not yet, I haven't looked at the whole BDR list, that would impact any of our transit opportunities that I haven't seen anything, but I think we should be aware. For example, if the taxi industry says, hey, because they're getting impacted as much as we are, that maybe they may be able to do different outreach for some of our constituents and generate revenue in a place they hadn't. Because I remembered back in the day, I don't know if it still is, the $20 coupon for them to take folks to medical services. And I don't know if that still exists or not, but it probably is outmoded, but maybe could be revamped to actually make it beneficial to our constituents as well as to that industry. So
Commissioner, the taxi voucher program is still in place, though they have less funding. We should be bringing back to the board again sometime first quarter of 2017 a pilot with both taxi cabs and TNCs to provide same-day on-demand mobility service for our paratransit and senior clients.
that'll help in the long run. It gives them, it's a benefit to them, but it also saves us dollars because that's pretty expensive. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. And I think further adding to this conversation going forward about how we're planning for residential service, we need to be looking in the future at the use of technology and also the types of equipment that maybe the equipment we're using in some of the residential areas, maybe we need smaller equipment, but that can be more efficient and get into some of the neighborhoods. So those are going to be important discussions going
We
forward.
agree with you, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, MJ. Mr. Chairman, and that concludes the General Manager's report. The next item is item 4, which is to receive NDOT's Director's report. Mr. Rudy Malfolborn couldn't make it today due to snow in northern Nevada. So hopefully we'll have another report next month.
The plane was snowed in, we heard. So I'll speak on behalf of Rudy. I would like to put forth NDOT's 2017 plan of attack. Please continue.
Items 5 through 39 are your consent agenda items and may be acted upon in one motion.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Now we move to your non-consent part of the agenda. Item 40 is to receive a report on Southern Nevada Strong and the progress on implementation by the City of North Las Vegas. Mr. Raymond Hess, RTC's Planning Director, and a representative from the City of North Las Vegas will be here to give this presentation. There he is.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Raymond Hess, RTC staff, and joining me in just a second will be Mr. Cass Palmer from City of North Las Vegas. So believe it or not, it's December already. It's hard to believe. What I'd like to do is just take a few moments to highlight some of the accomplishments of Southern Nevada Strong over the last year. Obviously, we've been coming to you quarterly to talk about some of those accomplishments, but I think it would be good to give you a very quick thumbnail sketch of some of the things that we've been working on just to put everything into perspective. So the first thing I'd like to do is make a case that we're really leading and facilitating several discussions in the Valley related to best practices identified in the Southern Nevada Strong Regional Plan. Two initiatives that we have currently going on that I'll highlight again later revolve around transit-oriented development and regional grant competitiveness. The pictures on the slides before you are two different workshops we held related to transit-oriented development. One was an infill development strategy that we held focused on Maryland Parkway, where we got some technical assistance from Environmental Protection Agency to come up with a strategy to really encourage redevelopment in the Maryland Parkway corridor, especially as it's integrated with transit. And the other one, which we had just in November, was a developers roundtable held in partnership with Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance and the Urban Land Institute. And we brought together about 40 different developers to really talk about transit-oriented development and what are the things that we could be doing better as a region to either encourage that, incentivize it, or what are some of those impediments that we need to get over. Another one is grant opportunities. I'll highlight an initiative in just a few moments that we're working with United Way on and the Gwynn Center. Very exciting. We've only just initiated that process, but we're already seeing some very interesting results from that process. We're also trying to make connections. You know, our manager, Ray Lathrop, likes to use the term connective tissue. That Southern Nevada Strong is kind of that connective tissue in the Valley across many different initiatives and things that are happening. And so a good example of that recently was when Ray and MJ Maynard hosted a tour on transit with nonprofit CEOs to really help identify what some of those transportation challenges are for the populations that those nonprofits serve as it relates to transportation. And so it's really about starting that dialogue, and that dialogue then leads into strategies and things for us to really move the needle, and Southern Nevada Strong is engaged in numerous conversations across the Valley related to that. Another thing I'd like to highlight is innovative public outreach. There are a lot of things that we've done over the short course of the past year and really over the past 6 months that have really started to provide new opportunities for dialogue. One is we had a very successful summit held in September. Some of you attended that event. We heard from best practices from around the Valley, things that are happening to implement the plan. We had a wonderful keynote speaker talk to us about how it's important that our built environment really sustains us as a population. And it really kind of energized a lot of folks on the issue of Southern Nevada Strong and its implementation. We're also rolling out and continuing to improve communication methods such as our website, our quarterly newsletter, our social media presence. We're always putting new material on that, and we always encourage any of you to provide us with that content because we want to highlight all the good work that you're doing as well. Reports and documents. So a lot of the work that we're doing right now is foundational in that we need to set the framework for how to be successful as a department that's implementing Southern Nevada Strong and as a region in moving this vision forward. And so there's been a lot of analysis that's been done about best practices across the country. We've looked at other regional governance structures from Denver, Salt Lake, Phoenix, and others. We've identified frameworks for how to communicate most effectively as it relates to Southern Nevada Strong. We've even developed different metrics and performance measures that we're tracking on a regular basis to make sure that we're moving the needle in the right direction on the 300 plus strategies identified in the regional plan. Organizational capacity. Again, this is a lot of foundational work, but it's important to note that we've reconvened what was called the Consortium Committee when it was with the City of Henderson. It's been rebranded as the Southern Nevada Strong Steering Committee. And this is an important group that's really helping set the priorities for Southern Nevada Strong moving forward. We've also broadened the membership to bring in other important stakeholders into this conversation, such as United Way, such as the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, the Metropolitan Police Department. So we have the core 13 original partners as well as others. And the other thing is we've hired staff. Now, I know I've reported to you on this in the past, but I just continue to be impressed with how qualified this team is and how passionate this team is about Southern Nevada Strong. Most of them have only been with us for 6 months, and if you look at how much they've accomplished in that short 6 months, you'll realize that they had a very short honeymoon, between the summit, all of these different materials we're producing. They hit the ground running, and I'm very proud of the work that they've accomplished in that short amount of time. The other thing, too, is really supporting partners in different initiatives. Southern Nevada Strong, we can't do this work alone as an RTC, and so a lot of what we're trying to do is provide support to our regional partners. So just a few to highlight. We're very much engaged with City of North Las Vegas, as we'll hear from Cass Palmer, on the Choice Neighborhood Grant Initiative to really rethink some of the public housing in North Las Vegas and how that can be revitalized. City of Henderson, we partnered on the Brownfield grant for Boulder Highway to look at distressed properties and how those can be brought up to a higher and better use. For Clark County, we're working with planning on their Maryland Parkway Overlay District and how, again, to incentivize redevelopment along Maryland Parkway. City of Las Vegas, we partnered very closely on the STAR community application. The city was successful in 4 stars, I believe. Really kind of setting that benchmark for sustainability. City of Henderson had a similar initiative as well, and both communities were successful, and we partnered in that grant application process the whole way through, provided data that we have, and really supported those. And that's a lot of the work of what Southern Nevada Strong is. It's not the work that we do directly, but it's to kind of help support others to really implement what Southern Nevada Strong Regional Plan calls for. So now let me just highlight and go into a little bit more detail about 2 initiatives that we currently have going on that Southern Nevada Strong as a department is spearheading. The first is TOD, Transit Oriented Development Developers Roundtable, that we had in November. I touched on this just a moment ago. This was a very successful event. Again, we partnered with Urban Land Institute, Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, and had it at the Nevada State System of Higher Education building on Maryland Parkway. And again, the idea was almost like a strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats analysis, or a SWOT analysis, to really talk about what are some of the challenges that we have for implementing transit-oriented development here in Southern Nevada. Transit-oriented development is a major element identified in the Southern Nevada Strong Regional Plan. Again, it's that perfect marriage of good transportation planning and good land use planning, and how you can really reap benefits and efficiencies of scale when you do those things in unison. And it makes sense for us as SNS because obviously we're housed within the transit agency and we're also the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This isn't easy work, but this is work that we feel we can move the needle on. We feel like we can really kind of advance this dialogue and pull in the right people to have this discussion move forward. The other thing that I mentioned earlier is the Southern Nevada Grant Capacity and Competitiveness Strategy that we're working on. We've partnered with the Gwynn Center, United Way, the Nevada Community Foundation, as well as the Nevada State Office of Grants. And we've pulled together about a dozen nonprofits in the Valley to help identify, again, what are some of those opportunities, what are some of those challenges that we need to overcome in order to bring more federal funding to Southern Nevada. And even we've had just 2 workshops, but we've already had some great feedback. So some of the input is, there's a deficiency in staffing and human capacity. There's an ability to improve grant writing, training, and management techniques. There are opportunities for collaboration and the need for someone to act as a convener, Southern Nevada Strong. and to really engage stakeholders, funders, board members, and other outside partners to make Southern Nevada more competitive when we apply for grants. And so these are really exciting initiatives that we're a part of, that we really feel are going to bring additional resources to the valley, that are really going to see improvements to how we live, work, and play, and ultimately realize the vision of the Southern Nevada Strong Regional Plan. So what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Mr. Cass Palmer, Director of Neighborhood and Leisure Services. Again, as I mentioned, we can't do this alone, and we always like to highlight some of the accomplishments of one of our regional partners on a quarterly basis to really show how the work that they're doing is impacting not just their community, but the region as a whole.
Thank you, Ray. Good morning. Cass Palmer with the City of North Las Vegas, Director of Neighborhood and Leisure Services. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to highlight a lot of our programs that we've got going on in the Valley. But I got to tell you, that northern piece of the Valley is really happening right now. Our leadership team has really got numerous projects going on that I want to give you a quick highlight of. But they're outrageous and they're creative and they're innovative projects, all developing the city for what Southern Nevada Strong is under the tenets of workability, walkability, accessibility, transportation access, public engagement. We're hitting the tenets of Southern Nevada Strong's program, and we've had a long lockstep relationship and very proud to be part of Southern Nevada Strong. But with that, I'd like to give you a quick highlight on some of our projects around the North Las Vegas area. And I'm just going to touch on these very quickly. And some of these I'm going to come back and give you some detail in it. But down on the bottom, number one, our downtown gateway. We're redeveloping the entrance point to the city of North Las Vegas. And I'll give you a little bit more highlights. Point two, Tule Springs National Monument. December of 14, that area was made into a national monument, 23,000 acres in fossils that range from mammoths to prehistoric dinosaurs to whatever, ranging 200,000 years ago. It's a wonderful development for the area. It will leave that area pristine. But just south of that, right by the Hotel Casino, Aliante Hotel Casino, are two new large developments. One is Park Highlands West and then Villages at Tule Springs, representing a combined about 2,700 acres, about 10,000 new homes. The home pricing somewhere in the neighborhood of, starting on the low end, 200,000, but it'll be our first $1 million homes in the area. And so we're very proud of that concept. And that project is started already, and you'll see some production homes here mid next year. But new parks, new schools, new commercial activities, and everything else. Areas 3, right in the middle of the map, is our medical research and services campus and job creation zones. But that same act that created Tule Springs also gave us this land. It's about 645 acres, 150 acres right by the VA hospital. Again, earmarked for medical services and research areas, and then 495 acres just north of 215, which will really be for research development and complementary manufacturing scenarios, again, in the hopes of job creation for the area. And then over to the right, number 4, North Beltway Industrial Park. It's about 900 acres of a new industrial park designed to bring business to the north part of the valley. Long story short, about $24 million sewer system that our Director of Public Works, Jennifer Duty back here, is managing and handling, and we're going to bring in the infrastructure. There is existing infrastructure there already, and we've already got about 1 million square feet of industrial work under play as we speak. And then lastly, 5, Apex Industrial Park, just a little bit north of the valley on the north side, where 93 goes up to the middle of the state. Huge area that I'll get into in a second here. So with that, I'd like to refocus on 3 sites, one of them being our downtown North Las Vegas, our gateway, what we're calling Lake Mead Village West. It's approximately about 160 acres right there as you enter off of Lake Mead Boulevard and or off of Main or Las Vegas Boulevard coming into North Las Vegas. The goal here is to make a positive place to live. We want to attract new professionals coming into the area looking for a reasonably priced home that will come in and enjoy the new activities downtown, new commercial spots, new parks, new activities, and then live and work right downtown, and then go to work in Apex, go to work at the Northern Beltway Park, wherever. We're creating a plan with Bunnyfish, our development agency under the domain of Gina Gavin is doing a wonderful job just creating a plan to transform the mature urban core of North Las Vegas with new contemporary housing, row housing, first time ever, apartments. We'll have senior citizens, we'll have cultural amenities, shops, restaurant and entertainment venues to really revitalize that downtown area and bring some creative activities to it. But with keeping it with the Southern Nevada Strong option, we're going to have wider sidewalks, bike lanes, parks, green spaces. We're going to slow the traffic down and just make a very walkable, pedestrian-friendly area for our citizens. Our next activity, and this is the entering point monument sign for us into North Las Vegas right there. A project near and dear to me is our Choice Neighborhood Initiative. This is a HUD urban core transformation project. 2 years ago, we were granted about $250,000 to produce a transformation plan to really revitalize the western part of the southern part of city of North Las Vegas. So it's about from I-15 west, and then from about carried down to the city of Las Vegas boundaries. But our goal here is to really come up with a plan that involves the input of numerous community stakeholders, neighborhood residents. Of the residents, out of 3,000, we got over 1,000 firsthand surveys from the individuals. So we really made a push to bring the public engagement in terms of what do you want in your neighborhood? Is it safety? Is it schools? The number one thing we heard, jobs. We need jobs, is what we heard loud and clear. And we want jobs in our neighborhood that we don't have to drive to. Secondary issue that we heard was we want services. Currently, we're having to drive a little bit to get to services, gas stations, food areas, and everything else. Got great school systems and infrastructure, utilities, and streets there, but we need just more services there. And that's what this plan was designed to do, was to get citizen input as well as community and governmental stakeholders input and design a concept that really puts that neighborhood back on the map. Up to the left, you'll see in the blue area, Buena Vista Springs is an 18-acre parcel that used to be a tough part of town. As we speak, it's currently raised, and we're looking to develop that aspect along the tenets of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative and put something in there, be it we've had plans from, we've had citizen input, they want an Olympic-sized swimming pool, all the way up to a senior assisted living complex that can handle quite a few of our citizens' needs. But we're going to put that out for an RFP the first quarter of next year, and we'll see what comes up with that. But again, with the neighborhood residents, the social service agencies, the businesses and the educational institutions and the city departments, we're able to come up with a wonderful plan that's due to HUD here January 15th. And it's a massive document, but it is a thoughtful document. It's a living document that will morph with the needs of our city. One of the areas we developed in our Choice Neighborhood Initiative, we developed a community park, and the agriculture park part of it is doing wonderful. Last issue I'd like to highlight is our Apex Industrial Park. You've heard a lot about it, but it's 18,000 acres of undeveloped land that is just prime territory to bring in new commercial businesses. As you remember, in the economic downturn, the city of North Las Vegas, we need more business income because we have the residences. North Las Vegas is the suburb of Las Vegas, so those that work downtown live in North Las Vegas. We just need more focus on business initiatives and business revenue and income. 18,000 acres designed for heavy and light industrial and distribution areas. We've got a couple of plants up there already. We've got solar up there and a couple of other developments, but we're really pushing to get major leading edge international type activity there, ranging from Faraday Future, ranging from Hyperloop One to other entities to come join us. And we've secured handshakes and contracts with we'll say a number of individuals to come in there and be the center of the development. Build out that whole northern face, we're talking about 18,000 potential new jobs for the community at large. But it is a creative focus for our community to say, hey, we need more jobs. This is the center point of it. So between all these activities, I tell you what's going on in North Las Vegas is phenomenal. It's growing and we're coming and we're developing strong. Remember, half of our city right now, 50% of our city is undeveloped. So we have that opportunity to create and bring new companies in for the betterment of the entire valley. But with that, we also stay lockstep with Southern Nevada Strong as we develop these projects in terms of creating atmospheres that our public and citizens want to live in and come and enjoy. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Mayor Lee?
Could you take it up to the activity screen, activity areas real quick, Cass, this one right here, or whoever's responsible for that? Oh, you missed it. They're right there. You know, Cass, that was exciting. You guys are doing some great things over there. We got a great council, mayor. If I wasn't the mayor over there, I'd want to be me, you know. But I do want to take a minute and actually say this truthfully. What we're doing over there is a blessing to the region, we hope. We hope to diversify the economy so we're not all gaming, hospitality, and tourism. Maybe one person is working up at Caesar's Palace, dealing cars, getting good tips, but the other partner in the family is working at Apex, building something that'll be sold somewhere else in the world. We're trying to diversify also the incomes of the families of North Las Vegas too, and see if their property values come up. But I will tell you, this is a collaboration. This is where I wanted to take this up for. If you'll notice at Tule Springs, or let's go to number 1 down here, Downtown Gateway. We're hoping, Mayor Goodman, that someday could be a suburban area to your urban Zappos area, that everything you have up there, that we can offer stuff down here and tie us closer than we're like brother and sister now, but you know, if we could do some of that stuff to help you and some of your needs. Up here at the Tule Springs Development National Monument, we have to actually come out and say the federal government has had so much to do with that success. The BLM, Senator Reid, they've been a great partner in what we're able to do. So now you can grow up, like in Henderson, you can live on Old Water Street and actually move up someday and live in Green Valley and live in the nicest homes in the state of Nevada. We're hoping that will do for us in North Las Vegas the same thing. We pattern ourselves a little bit after some of the successes you guys have had. These job creation zones, once again, the federal government, Neil Cornsey was out here yesterday, signed some paperwork, but we've been dealing with them. But this little lower 3 is right next to the VA hospital here. And we just signed an agreement with the Woodbury Group up in northern Utah, who did all the medical research around the University of Utah system, to help us start bringing in a lot of that medical research in this area that we're hoping to add to the wonderful VA hospital that Congressman Shelley Berkeley put out there. So there's another blessing that we got from someone else. A little back here, Mr. Brown, the Commissioner, you've helped us put in on Revere, I think. You and some of the money, and Marilyn Kirkpatrick helped us work in that area. And it's very beneficial to have the county as a partner. And you guys, I think, honestly, we've got the 2 best county commissioners in the whole. You guys are all good county commissioners, but I think Lawrence Weekly and Marilyn Kirkpatrick have just been wonderful to work with. And we're very excited about that relationship. If you go down to the 4 area here, the 215 drops into the I-15 and stops in an abutment. There's 1,100 acres right there where it says North Beltway Business Park. We're now bringing sewer up, that little yellow line there. We're bringing sewer up there to open up all that area. And so working with Nellis Air Force Base has been a great thing. But the really important thing is, if it wasn't for NDOT and Rudy, Tracy Larkin, we wouldn't be getting that little road built right there, so we could open that up to the region. And then, of course, Apex here. We owe a lot of our success to the state for coming in and having a special session and doing those important things. So while we may sit over here and you think we're buffing the apple, we're so proud to have the County Commission, City of Las Vegas, NDOT, RTC. Look at the 215. The last 5 miles are now being finished on that road. Everybody's had a point of success in our growth here. And it looks like sometimes we're doing something magic over there. The only thing we're doing magic is working with people, you know, working with you, working with the entities, working with Southern Nevada Strong to make this happen. So we're very proud of what we can offer the region, and we appreciate the partnerships, and we want all of us to rise, you know. And so we hope, I don't think you do anything for us, Deborah at Henderson, but Thanks for bringing Southern Nevada Strong to the organization. Anyway, we're very proud of being able to say we're working very hard to help achieve dreams that everyone in the region can benefit from. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me that couple seconds.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner?
Thank you. And the slide with the apex slide? Just tell me, what was the difference between the white and the brownish grayish kind of area? Because there's a bunch of privately held land out there too, I believe.
There is privately held land, yes.
That one there, yeah.
Yes, the white area is obviously the area that we're encompassing in. The darker areas are existing privately held scenarios.
Okay, and so there's still a need for water. Was that looked at as a logistics port at one time by the legislature, or was that a different area?
At the legislature, I believe, I defer, but the short answer is yes. No
That's what I thought, because we had different portals that we were looking at originally at some.
The name Apex is apropos also.
Right.
Just from the concept from I-15, I-9, I-11, everything.
Okay, and then to Raymond. And just so you know, yesterday we actually did, Commissioner Kirkpatrick did a resolution that the board adopted to try to get the fossils brought back and returned to us. So just so you know that got passed unanimously. So we're working, that's going in the mix. And to Raymond, on the grant capacity component that you had the group, you said that you had pulled together nonprofits. Can you give me a sample of which nonprofits?
Yeah, so it's funny because when we had the initial brainstorming in terms of who we would bring to the table, there was, do we want to bring in 100 people to this conversation, or do we want to bring in kind of the nonprofits that have existing grant writers or have been successful in getting grants in the past, so that they can bring kind of some institutional knowledge to that conversation. So it's some of the better, or some of the bigger nonprofits that are more well established in the community that have larger staffs, so like 3 Square and others that have the capacity to really pursue grant funding and can help us identify what some of those challenges are and what some of those opportunities are. We will open it up to the larger community, whether it be nonprofits and the community at large, once we've developed some initial strategies to get additional feedback from others that are not at the table currently.
Okay.
We just felt like we had to work with a group of,
Right, and
manageable
I
number
just
of
couldn't
people.
remember who all we'd, because Deborah and I just switched roles, so I'm now chair of it, but yeah. But part of that is too, I think, as Southern Nevada Strong, and then we have the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition, there may be some better synergies that we can additionally add to some components there. But one thing that's fallen off our radar that I'm somewhat regretting on SNRPC side, and I have to give kudos to former Mayor Goodman, the homeless piece is really not as visible as it needs to be, and I think we need to restructure some of that and bring it back under our leadership, because once it's out of sight, out of mind, with no disrespect. And so in talking with Metro, there's just some things that we need to do better, and part of that is just visibility. I think it's actually increased. I mean, at least in my district, I see it on a day-to-day basis, but let's not reinvent the wheel. There were some things that were put into place years ago that we probably need to bring back. So I just throw that out there. But also, as you bring in some of those nonprofits, we're going to need to have a come to mama, daddy, somebody, because many of them, I don't see them out there working in that corridor. A lot of people take the money, and I don't see the results proven out. So that's got to be part of our messaging that comes into play. Don't just give me numbers. If you can't even tell me which 20 people are always hanging out at Circle Park, then you're not out there doing what you should be doing. So just because they're good at writing grants doesn't mean they deliver the deliverables that we expect from them. So that's just some food for thought that maybe we might want to engage in down the road.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? if I may.
Councilwoman.
Two things. First, Chris, when you were talking about Maryland was putting a bill through about some of the specimens that they've taken out of Tule Springs and are now in San Bernardino.
Just a resolution to BLM and the Park Service to work together to bring back those fossils.
Now, we had a presentation at one of our city council members, and I thought that was taken care of. Are you sure? Because they were there telling us. The people who were getting them were there and telling us they were getting them.
That's why we did the resolution. It was kind of a collaborative, because I think Mayor Lee and some of the others that were working on and on the Thule Springs part of it, our fossils went there. They have not been returned, and we want to make.
But they have, okay, we're in the process, but they've agreed to return them, haven't they? Are we in the
I
process?
believe so, but I think we were asked to do a resolution to show that we're all in collaboration on that, so that it makes it easier for the.
Well, I just wanted to
the
be.
finishing of the process. Does that make better sense?
I just wanted to be sure because at that time we all felt it was taken care of. And
Right, but
what
when you're
saying
dealing with
is,
federal agencies, I think we needed to send a collaborative message, and that was the purpose of the
I see.
resolution.
And then secondly, when you were talking about the homeless, you're talking about the homeless corridor near Catholic Services?
All over. And now that the cold weather is out, you actually see, but every day, I mean, I live in the city, and so there are folks that I know in my district that are sleeping on the sidewalks. There's 12 grocery carts. The parks are full again. And it's like they're still the frequent flyers. And we had funding for our veterans. Supposedly we hit zero. We've accomplished the goal, or not accomplished, but we found housing, but we really haven't found all the housing that we need. There's still a lot of people out there that resource-wise we should be bringing.
And I agree. I know that the homeless are coming from that corridor more and more through the west, because my district is getting more and more of them too, and even in Camelot, which is Ward 2.
They're even in Summerlin, by golly.
They're getting out there too, which is good, because then, everybody can see what the problem is.
It's a problem not just for the downtown core, yeah.
Yeah, but at one time, my understanding is we had all the services there, and then we needed to sort of disperse them some, because that was attracting everybody there.
Correct, and
I just feel, Chris, that we're spending millions of dollars, I know, through the city for the homeless. We're really not making improvements very much, I feel. And this seems to be a national problem. I really think we have to get at this in a way that would cost more money, but getting people trained in jobs. There are some Midwestern cities, the ones that seem to have made progress, it hasn't been just solving the problem once it's there, but taking them, training them, housing, and then you're still going to have some who want to be homeless.
Correct.
But I hope that somehow, maybe through Nevada Strong, maybe through whatever, that we can get into that in a meatier way, because we're not doing it right now. We're not doing it, and all the money, all the time, all the effort.
Exactly.
And we can't look at the homeless as a homogeneous group. They're not.
Correct.
You have the mentally ill. You have those who want to stay homeless. You have the temporarily homeless.
Correct.
And we've got to maybe just start working on each one of those. But could we get some collaborative thing going is what I'm just talking
Yeah, that's
about.
why I think SNRPC
In-depth.
went to the consortium model 2 years ago now, I think. And with no disrespect to those folks that serve on that, because of the amount of money and the nonprofits that we charge to work on our behalf with the services, especially that the city's impacted on, it's no longer an accountability. With no disrespect, it's what Mayor Goodman and I found with the CEOs and some of the nonprofits. If you keep sending the fourth tier person, no one can make a decision. No one can really hit the hammer on the head to make sure the money's being spent wisely. So what I'm suggesting is SNS and RPC review that and bring it back under our guise for our eyes and ears, so that we're really better overseeing it, so that it is a priority to people first. Secondly, we had the Home First dollars, and where we have that in place, it's working, but we just had a meeting last week with the Housing Authority, because I think they've got some vouchers that we could maybe capitalize on. So we met with Dora LeGrand, Marilyn Kirkpatrick, and myself, and Mike Pollock from Social Services. There's a third component. We have a real problem, and it's more a federal issue. Many of these individuals they're getting their Social Security or their SSI, $700-800 a month. Some are refusing, but we're not really coordinating. They have no place for their mail to go. Other than Rescue Mission, they do a 30-day hold. Southern Nevada Help will only do it if you're an actual client, but only for 7 days. And the post office won't do it. There's no boxes. If you can't get your ID, if you can't get mail that comes in with those types of things, that's a barrier that's there. That's something that we ought to take a look at and work on. I called all 7 agencies, and I'm like, oh, that's a problem then. So there are things that I think need to bubble back up. So that's what I'm suggesting, that we reformulate that and bring it back under our eyes to some extent.
With all of us working together and realizing it has to be much more in-depth and much
Correct.
more oversight.
Coordinated. And that the ones that are getting our money are getting the deliverable, are doing the deliverables in the long run.
Chairman. Yeah, I just want to thank Raymond Hess and Cass Palmer for the work that they have done, not only at the RTC level, but at the community level. And this is a perfect example of how the principles of Southern Nevada Strong have translated into having an impact on community, bringing in grant funds, doing the community outreach. One of the things that we learned through Southern Nevada Strong is we actually had 70,000 inputs from across the community to hear what the community felt were their important priorities. And I think that is also something you're carrying out in the North Las Vegas area that we also did through Southern Nevada Strong. But it's building the community of the future based on what the community wants to see in that future. And looking at the map and the areas that you've identified and designated, that follows really the principles of Southern Nevada Strong to build regional cooperation, to build housing centers, employment centers, improve the quality of life for our residents, ensure that we have educated workforce. And so I think that you guys are really on a wonderful track. So I commend you for that. And I'd also like to just speak briefly to the grant work. I think that's going to be critical. If we have historically not brought the grant resources into Southern Nevada that need to come into our community. And there's so many things that could be accomplished in City of Las Vegas, Boulder City, North Las Vegas, Mesquite, Clark County, Henderson, if we were bringing more resource dollars in and able to match them. And so I think that my hope would be that committee will begin to look seriously at how we can find that local match to be able to bring those resources to our community to make a difference. And I think the conversations about transit-oriented development need to be elevated, about that there are corridors where it makes sense, where we can have urban densities and ensure that whether it's rapid transit or light rail makes sense because you have the urban densities to support those uses. And of course, and it will always be a priority for me, and I've talked to Chris about it, is Maryland Parkway Corridor needs to really be elevated to a point where we start to trigger the conversation about moving into light rail and what the community has told us through the outreach process that they want and consider a priority. And I would just encourage all communities to use the resources of Southern Nevada Strong, because they aren't telling you how to do it, they're supporting you in how you do it in your community, and use those resources, make them available, but also, let's all be part of this transformation that is occurring, that we're seeing across Southern Nevada. Let's make this the best community that we can possibly be. And I think that I commend the work of Southern Nevada Strong and that this is transformational. You're a part of a significant movement in Southern Nevada, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
And quickly, I'd just like to second that if I could, because you've done a lot of help to us in other areas too. Just fantastic.
Thank you, gentlemen.
This was an informational item, so no action is required. Moving on, item 41 is to receive a report on 2 new tools developed by the RTC staff to assist with project analysis and project coordination. We have with us again Mr. Raymond Hess and Mr. John Penuelas, RTC's engineering manager, to give a brief presentation on these tools.
Brief. I heard the operative word brief there. Don't worry, it's only 46 slides. And it actually is 46 slides, but I can get through it in 8 minutes because it's a demonstration.
I'm the brief side of the equation.
Time us both, and we'll see who wins. Okay, so you may recall back in July, you had a presentation by Transportation Resource Advisory Committee, Don Snyder and Tom Riley, about some of the recommendations that came out of TRAC. One of them was to develop a project analysis tool similar to what was demonstrated from Sacramento. And the idea was we need to get a little bit more data-driven in terms of how we analyze projects, how we justify projects, and how we measure the impact of those projects. And so I'm pleased to report that after just about 6 months with in-house resources at no additional cost for added software or consultants, we were able to develop a tool in-house. So I'd like to demonstrate that for you today. We call it the Project Analysis Tool, or PAT for short. This is the landing page. When you land, you get to just kind of the general valley. I will note that this is a static presentation. It's not a live web demo, so I can't veer off of anything that I'm going to demonstrate to you today. So the first thing I'd like to do is just highlight some of the different layers that are available. This is a geographic information system-based application, GIS-based, and so really it's kind of layering different maps on top of one another to tell a story. And so you'll notice that what we've done is we've categorized data information based on the different values that were identified by track. So we have safety, congestion, multimodal, maintenance, and then population employment get to kind of economic development opportunities. So let's first look at safety. If I go ahead and click the safety drop-down menu, you'll see that there are several different options to choose from. I know this is a little small on your screens, but you can look at just fatalities, or you can look at serious injuries, or you can look at a combination of fatalities and serious injuries. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the density map for fatal and serious injuries in the valley. And what this is kind of a quick way to target areas that are experiencing higher than usual crash rates. So the darker the shade of blue, that means the higher concentration of fatal and incapacitating injuries. If we zoom in to an area, let's say Boulder Highway and Desert Inn, we can look at a more granular level of data. So we can click down the drop-down menu for safety. Let's look at the fatal accidents or fatal crashes that occurred in that area. And you'll notice little red dots popped up. One of the interesting things about this tool is you can then zero in on one of those dots to say, okay, what happened exactly at that crash near Desert Inn and Boulder Highway? You can get the date of the crash, you can get the description of the crash, number injured, number killed, and then you also have a crash reference number that you can go and pull further data from NDOT from.
Is this an open portal so the public can access
It
this?
will be, yes. It isn't yet right now, it's still on our internal servers, but it will be outwardly facing.
Wonderful.
If you'd like even more data, there is a drop-down attribute table kind of at the top menu bar. You can click on that, and you'll get a lot more detail about that specific crash. You have the record number, you have all the detail that you would need to further investigate the cause of that crash and how to mitigate future crashes as well. So now let's zoom to another part of the valley. Let's go to the downtown Spaghetti Bowl area. And let's look at the congestion data layer. So we have several different layers identified. Yeah, I know, that's kind of tongue-in-cheek right now, right? So you can look at existing congestion or you can look at projected congestion. Both of those layers are based on a model output from our travel demand model. So let's look at future congestion at 2035. The areas colored yellow indicate near capacity, which is a technical calculation for volume over capacity. How much volume can the road support versus how many cars are actually on that road. And if the ratio is below 1, it's near capacity. If it's above 1, it's at capacity. But let's say you don't trust the model, because a model is kind of a little black box that, hit a button and it runs and it gives you outputs. Let's say you want to do your own analysis. Well, we gave you the tools as well to do that. So the first thing you can do is you can click on the average daily traffic counts, and you'll see that you have these different thickness of lines that overlay on top of the map. Well, that might not be particularly meaningful to you, but if you click on one of those segments of the lines, you'll get the specific traffic count for that segment of roadway. So you'll notice I-15, just south of the Spaghetti Bowl, experiences 271,000 vehicles per day. That's a pretty big number. Then what you can do is you can overlay that with how many lanes of traffic there are. So you can actually calculate your own volume over capacity ratio to demonstrate the need for capacity expansion or congestion mitigation. So now let's look at multimodal. So we drop that down. Multimodal, of course, we're looking at different transit layers. We're looking at bicycle pedestrian layers. So we can click on the on-street bicycle network in downtown, and you'll notice that the buffered bike lanes, separated bike lanes, and so forth are identified on the map. You can then click on the transit layer, and it will overlay all of the different transit routes through the area. We also have a layer for transit stops as well. Now let's look at maintenance. Again, maintenance was another one of those areas that was identified by TRAC for us to focus on as a value. Right now we don't have a complete data set for all the jurisdictions. We have Clark counties uploaded into the system. And so what you can do is if you click on that, you can see the different types of maintenance concerns that are in the area. Again, very easy to understand definitions. Very poor, fair, good condition of that pavement condition. Okay, next I want to just highlight a couple things related to kind of this economic development potential of this tool. And what we have is several different layers related to population and employment that you can kind of overlay on top of one another to see either current populations or future projected populations, and the same thing with employment. So, you know, you can click on this. The geographies that are identified are what we use in our travel demand model. They're called traffic analysis zones. These are kind of subsets of areas that have similar characteristics, either mostly residential, mostly commercial, whatever the case may be. Now this color coding might not mean much to you, but again, you can drill down into the details. So if you click on one of those areas, it's going to give you the specific acreage of that area. It's going to give you what the population is, as well as the employment. The other thing that's kind of fun to do is you can actually zoom out. This is kind of a useful tool at a region-wide. This is the comparison or the population change from 2015 to 2040. So as you might expect, you know, in the inner area that's already developed, you don't see a lot of population increase, but on the periphery and the fringe of the valley, where you have new developments coming online, is where we would expect some of that population to increase. If we did a similar function for employment, again, you know, you can drill down at different layers. You can look at the 2015 employment, you can look at the 2040, and then you can also look at the comparison between the two. So again, what you might expect, we expect employment to increase along places along the Strip, at McCarran International Airport, and some of the outlying areas as well. Apex, unfortunately, is hidden right now behind the box, but you can move that box and minimize it. But you would see a dark purple up there as well. You can also change the base map if you're interested in seeing aerial information. You can upload the aerials, and you can just get really granular detail in terms of what the built condition looks like today. So you might be asking, well, so what? What do I do with this? So there are a couple different applications that this can be used for. This can be used on the front end to help justify the purpose of a project. So if a project is meant to address safety, you know, we have this tool here that can help you demonstrate how a project is going to be built in an area where there are safety concerns. The other thing it can be used to help monitor progress of projects. Again, if a project goes in to address safety, we can continue to monitor the safety data as it comes in over time to see how well it's addressing that safety in that area. So just real quickly, I'll just demonstrate that if you were to turn on the safety layer, right now we're near Lake Mead and Vegas on Decatur. We can look at the crashes in that area, so the little blue dots popped up. Then we can also overlay the bicycle network here. Now again, this is theoretical. I'm not suggesting there are any bike facilities or complete streets proposed along Decatur, but this could be a way where this project, if, let's say, for example, the city wanted to propose a complete streets project on Decatur between Lake Mead and Vegas Drive, they could do so and justify the project saying that it's going to address safety concerns that are identified on this, as well as provide a connection between two existing bicycle facilities. Then what you can do is you can use the draw tool. You can actually go in and highlight where that project will be located. You can label it, and then you can output that as a PDF file that can be used for documentation purposes for the project file. You can also, again, download all the supporting data. So you'll notice that attribute table down at the bottom has two different tabs. One is all the crash data. The other is all the on-street bicycle network data associated with what you see on the screen at that time. So there's the print function. You can print it out multiple different formats, very helpful, and then that can be used. And this is kind of what one of the outputs looks like. This is one of the maps that you can generate. Then you can also get the associated data as an output from like into Excel. The one thing I do need to make a disclaimer, I'm not smart enough to have developed this, so I owe all the credit to Jeff Truby, Pete Kohler, and Hui Shen, who worked on this in-house. Again, they did it with existing tools. No outside consultants used, no additional budget was used to develop this tool, and we're really proud about how far it's come along in such a short time.
Wonderful.
The intended audience for right now is like public works departments, the project sponsors, but it could be used by the public. We developed the tool with kind of the local entities in mind as the kind of primary audience, but it could be used by all of you. It can be used by the public as well, by consultants. This is really a way for information sharing that we think can have broad application. And we tried to organize the data in a very easy to understand, meaningful way and not bog it down with too much information.
It would seem to me that this would be very valuable for real estate developers who are helping us to design master plan communities or communities and looking at the challenges that they face and seeing that there's traffic issues and how do we design turnouts or whatever we might need to make sure that we're building a better, safer, stronger community.
Absolutely.
Commissioner.
Thank you. I commend the staff. That is a phenomenal tool, and especially as it gets layered on. I plan on using the Boulder Highway one with Rudy again to say where are we at and trying to protect those pedestrians. I know we're doing one light, but there's a lot of work that still needs to be done there, but that helps us cull down into that. Information is power in the long run, and so it guides us. To piggyback on Councilwoman's comment, though, I think it also gives us an opportunity. Part of what we have to do in the region is stop competing with each other and do a better job of collaboration, and I think this can help with that. We don't need 5 medical districts or 10 of these or 10 and 5. We really should be drilling down of what can sustain what infrastructure is there that can support certain things, and then what's missing in neighborhoods. So it may be a pet food store, a grooming thing, and a dry cleaners. Trying to drill down, then that helps us know when we're looking at planning. Just because somebody comes with an idea, and as things start to uptick, we're going to have to be careful as politicians. Just because you got a good idea doesn't mean it really belongs there. And so we really should be trying to infill those pieces that are missing, making a neighborhood, whether it's a bookstore or whatever. So I think this can be a tool down the road that can maybe help with identifying what's missing, just as amenities and support systems for neighborhoods to be more of a neighborhood, a community area. So that's just a food for thought. It would be interesting to see on Maryland Parkway if we got urban, what retail is missing, or what mixed use is missing, and take that corridor all the way down, because it could actually connect the whole valley. So that's just I think another generation of what might be able to come out of this. So thank you.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Okay. Next. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm John Penuelos. I'm your engineering manager, and I'm here to give you a quick update, 6 minutes flat, on what we're doing on the project coordination front and the cone management front, and to show off our own project visualization tool that we're using to try to get a handle to understand what's going on out there right now as far as the orange cones, but probably more importantly, how to understand what's coming down the pike. So a couple comments, and then I'll have a canned video similar to Eric.
Hi.
Raymond, sorry. As you'll remember, about a year ago, we came to you with an idea of reorganizing the Utility Coordination Committee. That group was charged with long-term planning of projects 2 to 3 years out, but the problem was that they were constantly being buffeted with problems associated with orange cones and all the work that was going on at the time. So in order to clear their plate of that, we split that group up, you approved it, and into 2 pieces. One piece focused on the here and the now, the Cone Management Working Group, and the mothership, we call them, the Utility Coordination Committee, was kind of rebranded as the project, or the Regional Project Coordination Committee, to focus on, again, that 2 to 3 year time frame. We're trying to get to the point where projects are routinely constructed. In my mind, I think of it as in parallel rather than in series. In the past, the model has been you dig, you build infrastructure element A, or repair infrastructure element A, then you backfill, then you patch, and you wait, and then infrastructure B's turn, dig, construct, backfill, patch, and that's an example of coordination. Everybody knows kind of the order of battle. Who goes first? You work from the lowest thing to the surface of the street. But we're trying to get to a point where those projects are combined, and we're doing as much with that first open trench as we possibly can, moving from an environment of coordination really to an environment of cooperation. Of course, that's easier said than done. But we're getting excellent cooperation from the agencies, and that model has been followed in the past, but it really has been the exception and not the rule. And we would love to make that model the rule moving forward. So the other major development is that we've added staff, to really acquire and maintain that global perspective. They're really, you know, the project managers knew where their projects were, the city engineers and the public works directors knew where their agencies were, but there really wasn't anybody that was in tune and focused with what was going on, not only on the capital improvement side, the utility side, but also on the development side regionally. And so we hired Chris Schwarz from Henderson. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. He is this is a mouthful, our Regional Traffic Control Coordinator. Because that's a mouthful, we just call him the Cone Ranger. So he's right here. Just raise your hand, Chris. There you go. So he has got a handle. He is plugged in solid with the utilities, with the agencies. We're starting to get entrenched with some private the home builders and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to show you now is the tool that we're using, that Chris is using, the RPCC is using, the cone managers are using it. Now this is a canned video, so I won't be able to do anything live, but I'll be happy to send a link to you. You can use your own agency's login credentials, and you can start poking around for yourself. It runs in a browser, so there's no special software needed. And again, you got to give props, kudos to Jeff Truby and his team. This is all done in-house. No extra budget other than their salaries. And I planted the seed. He's been thinking about it for years, and his team just went off like a rocket. So real quick, this is about 2 minutes. So each RPC user has its own name and password, obviously. And the default view comes up. The green and the blue are the designed and projects that are planned, but you can very easily and quickly turn on the construction layers. Now this is the data that feeds our Seeing Orange map, and it's also primarily where the cone managers are focused. So you can zoom in on a project very easily. This, of course, is the airport connector. Get the basic project information, contact information if you want more information, duration, that kind of thing. Going back out to the default view, across the top, you can get very quickly to each jurisdiction's projects. The City of Las Vegas, of course, North Las Vegas. But you also have the opportunity to go in here over on the left and click on the projects by owner. So this is another way to get to the North Las Vegas's projects, for instance. Now the water district here, zoom down a little bit. We discovered there was a little glitch in our get along. We have fixed that glitch, so there was actually a lot more water district projects out there than what we just showed. This is Water Rec, of course, and that's zooming in on the Paradise Whitney Interceptor that we all know and love. But this is really the power of the tool right here. Now, this is a sewer rehab project that's planned in the city of Las Vegas. The project manager could go in and put in a buffer, in this case a mile, be whatever you want, and instantly discover those projects that are within that buffer range, and then start making some phone calls. Is this a new project? What's your timeline? Going past the coordination to real cooperation where we're combining projects to the greatest extent possible. So, that's it. The technology, is a cool part of this, obviously. Not to be minimized. This is kind of the breakthrough, but the real breakthrough, I think, over the last year has just been the spirit of cooperation between the members of the RPCC, the agencies, where the meetings after the meetings are happening now. And, those connections, there are new connections being made, the old connections are being reinforced, which is obviously a good thing. So lots more to come. The wizards in the GIS department have a lot of enhancements coming. That's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
Will this also be open source, or will this be just for agencies?
Yeah, well, the tool for the RPCC that shows the planning and design projects, that will be for the committee's use only and the agency's use only. The underlying data, however, the construction data and the pending construction data, that's available to anybody, and in essence, it's available already through the Seeing Orange report. Or through the Seeing Orange website, excuse me.
Is it made available to like Waze and different, so that
Oh, absolutely.
when there's
In fact, it is.
interruptions, there'll be, okay, so
Yes.
the public will have access to when there's an interruption in the road?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
correct.
Thank you.
I noticed that flood control, are they not part of this group?
Flood control is. We haven't got a lot of their information up there yet. Basically, we're trying to get this information out of their CIP information, and it's in there. Why it's not, that's a real good question.
I know that as far as
Yeah.
location, you guys are pretty close together.
Yeah, they are. We're very close together.
You might want to walk down the hall and say, hey, guys, step up.
Well, I have the answer. We have it, it's not being shown. And why it's not being shown, I don't know. We'll get it on there, though.
Okay. Very good. That's just unbelievable information.
Great, thank you, guys.
Thank you both, and for all those that are and will continue to work on that.
Now we move on to your last item, which is item 42, and it's your final citizens' participation.
This is the second time set aside for public comment. Those wishing to speak to the board, now is your opportunity. Celebration this morning.
Thank you.
I know that you are one of the 7,400 and something.
Yes, Chairman Brown, thank you again for the opportunity to speak. Alita Dupree here for the record, ALETA-DUPREE of Rancho Saharan, Las Vegas city limits. And yes, I am one of the many teeming masses that now have the passes on my phone. I used it this morning because I took the bus to come here, and I found the app for the bike share, which is working really well for me. Much easier than using tap cards because it gives me 30 seconds to withdraw the bike from the dock. So I don't have to rush and put my things back in my life bag here. We have a new year coming, and it's time for us to use our toolbox as I use mine, and I'm going to refocus here on the matter of buses. So I'm hoping to see this new order of buses come out on the road, and our focus on improving these tools and hopefully moving to a paperless transportation system. I don't need to take out my paper tickets from other cities today. You've seen them before. To move hopefully toward a cashless system in some way, so we're not hauling bags of cash around on the strip emptying these vending machines. It puts people at risk. So I'd like to see, I'm enjoying the new service updates that on the 113 that helped me to get to Nellis Air Force Base. I'm hoping that North Las Vegas Boulevard will get cleaned up. I hope that it's not going to be a multi-year project so I can enjoy that service improvement more easily, especially it goes to the Nellis Hospital. Hopefully we can work with our friends at Nellis. Maybe someday we'll have a bus service that will actually go into other parts of the base for shopping, etc., as they do in other places. So yes, I have RTC Transit Card 2.0, thanks to the friendly folks at 600 South Grand Central Parkway. I got this because I want to be a part of these new things that hopefully will be placed into this chip-enabled card. I am ready. Let's have a sense of urgency going forward about building these new things and adding features to the apps. It's a good app. It's clean. It's easy to understand. It's not rocket science. I don't have to be wonky about it. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Is there anyone before me? Is there a next person?
No. Your turn.
Unfortunately, not only am I hard of hearing, I'm legally blind. Thank you. My name is Pat Camilla, And for many, many years, I've been involved with the RTC 8AA paratransit. First my husband, who passed away, and now me. I have complained so many times, so many, many times. Today, I have something good that I'd like to say. I am very happy with the transit people. The drivers are absolutely wonderful. 98% of them are great. They make sure that I'm greeted. They come around and they open that lift. They put me up there with my equipment. Then they go back around and secure the equipment and make sure that I am safe. They drive fantastically wonderful. Not only that, they make me feel real good. I like being around people all the time. And when I'm on the bus, they introduce me to their family by speaking with me. They tell me about how much they love their jobs, and sometimes they tell me little things that may upset them. And I've had wonderful friendships with your drivers. Also, with the complaints that I've had many people help me. Sandy McNeely has straightened me out and calmed me down more than once. He is a wonderful, wonderful person. When I call him and tell him what is on my mind, he investigates it to make sure that what I'm saying is worth looking at. And then he also always informs me of the outcome, which I really appreciate. Another person that I appreciate is Alex in the inquiry desk. He is absolutely fantastic. Alex, Tiffany, Tina, and John. I talk to them most of the time. I even talk to them prior to my bus coming in and also get the very best help from them. I am so happy with the services that I am receiving that I just wanted to come to tell you today. Also, from the RTC end of it, there's a gal by the name of Nicole Robinson, I believe her last name is. Nicole has helped me too. Nicole helped me to get a paratransit sign changed at the base so the people that ride the buses don't have to stand there for many hours, for a long time in the sun, and move that so that people could sit inside to wait for the bus at the pharmacy at Nellis Air Force Base. So between Nicole Robinson, Lieutenant Kelly, and myself, we were successful in doing that so other people could have that privilege. I don't know what else to say, except it's wonderful to have this, because without you people, I would have nothing at all. Disabled people are very, very dependent, and it hurts to be that way, it really does. But the treatment that you get from the people that you employ is fantastic. So thank you very much.
And thank you so much for taking the time to come down today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Raymond,
Thank you.
Raymond. No, she's got it. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board? To my colleagues, it's been a great year. Enjoy the holidays. To the RTC staff, another great year. Congratulations. To our partners out there, keep up the good work, and wishing you all happy holiday season and the best new year. This meeting is adjourned.